Round 9 gave us an amazing top-of-the-table clash and teams looking to get some momentum going into Europe. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. First up on Friday, we had Sharks 25, Ospreys 10. So looking at the score, you might think it was a bit of an easy one for the Sharks. But for a lot of the game, it was actually pretty close. Had a couple of penalties from the Sharks to start off. Then Walsh, a nice kick from him to Morgan for the first try from Ospreys, keeping them in the game. Nortza then goes over from close range for the Sharks to nudge them a bit further ahead. Ospreys, though, they hit back through Morris, and about 5 minutes to go or so, it's pretty close game between them. I think it was 11-10 or something like that, or it was pretty close anyway. But Bosch and Bentner then go over in the last 5 minutes and put a bit of a gloss on the score for the Sharks. Ospreys, for most of the game, pretty decent performance from them, but they're kind of in the position now where performances aren't going to be enough for them. They're going to have to come back after the European break and start getting results as well. Sharks are going to be fairly happy with another home win to solidify their position in the table. Next then we had Edinburgh 17, Munster 38. So Edinburgh actually started some pretty well. Crosby, really nice break to put Dean away. He has a clear run to win after 2 minutes. We then have Darcy Graham intercepting a Carberry pass to go over as well for the second try for Edinburgh. Casey then hits back for Munster from close range. Munster were kind of pounding at the line. Eventually he goes over. Then we have a really lovely offload from Kinghorn to put Ritchie over to stretch that Edinburgh lead. And then Munster with a try just before halftime and a try just after halftime, get them just ahead on the scoreboard. There was a lovely line from Nash for his try that actually put Munster ahead. And from there, they don't really look back. Coombs' score pretty much settles it in terms of who's going to win. And then Carby in the last minute just increases the margin for them. Munster really coming in form just in time for Europe, and you'd expect them to kind of kick on from here. Edinburgh, after such a great start, they probably would have expected more out of the game, and they kind of hitting a little bit of a sticky patch at the minute. They've been good for it. The start of the season was pretty good for them, but now they're just beginning to come unstuck in certain games that you might expect them to be more competitive in. So they're going to want to certainly improve now that they're going into the European games. Then we had Stormers 34, Dragons 26. So Stormers kind of race out into a lead in this one. We got a driving maul. Pokomela, he kind of breaks off the back of the maul. He goes over. Then the second try then is another driving maul. This time Dweba is at the back of the maul as the maul just drives over the Dragons. There's no need to come off the back because they've got the momentum. Then Lays with a lovely take in the air. It was very competitive actually. I don't know who it was from the Dragons, but both of them go up. Lays gets the ball, and it proves crucial because Stormers put the ball on the right hand side. Round about halfway, Stormers then put the ball through the hands to get over to the left. They find some space there. They make a break. There's a few interchange of passes there, and Nell comes up with the finish, and that makes it 21-0 to them, looking very ominous for the Dragons. And then it gets even worse for them. There's an amazing step and run for Lebock, and he makes it 28-0. And right then you're thinking Dragons are dead and buried. And I think if it had been the Dragons of last season or previous seasons that we've seen, you're probably looking at maybe high 40s or 50 points to the Stormers and a couple of consolation tries to the Dragons. But this Dragons team, they have a bit of steel about them this year, and a lot of that is down to Di Flanagan, I feel. So first off, they get a Williams intercept on the stroke of half time. It looked like they were going to go in 28-0 down, but he intercepts the ball. He's got a clear run in then and gives them a little bit of hope going into half time. They then start the second half with their own maul try as well. So that is Seuli went over at the back of that one for them. Stormers do tag on a couple of penalties after that to stretch the lead out a little bit, so they get up to 34, which is actually their final score in the game. But Dragons aren't finished at that point then. Hanrahan, he starts and finishes a move for the Dragons' third try. He puts Fry through a hole. Fry, like, he kind of collects the ball and you think he's gonna, like, he stumbles and you think he's actually just going to fall flat on his face, but he does well to kind of steady himself. And then there's another couple of nice offloads as well, especially the last one off the ground. JJ Hanrahan then is there to collect that one and he goes in under the posts. Reynolds, then he's got, like, he breaks off the back of a maul because, like, Dragons have the maul and they're over on the kind of left touch line, close to the, like, it's kind of 5 meters out or so, the kind of usual one you see where teams are going for driving maul tries. But it looks like Stormers have kind of maybe dealt with them pretty well and they're almost guiding them into touch, but Reynolds breaks off the back and he just shows great power to get over on his own. And that's with about like 5 minutes to go. So final score then is 34-26. Dragons, though, that last try that was their bonus point try for them. So they'll be pretty happy to come away with that. Stormer is obviously going to be happy with another win at home. Probably not so happy with the way they kind of fell off the pace a little bit once they kind of got that big lead, and a first taste really of European rugby coming up for them as well. So they're going to have to, you know, make sure that they finish teams off there as well in that one, because we've seen in Europe, if you're not on it for the full 80 minutes, you can get surprised as well. Dragons, as I said, like, Di Flanagan, I think, is doing a great job with them. They're putting in the performances, but I still think that, you know, they're certainly higher up the table than they would normally be expected to be. But I feel like that there's still more improvement in this team, and if we can get that out of them, they're going to start getting the results as well that the performances deserve. So keep an eye out for them. Especially now that they go into Europe, they're going to be in the Challenge Cup, I believe. So they might actually surprise a few teams in there as well. Next then we had Zebre 17, Glasgow 15. So this one, I kind of feel a little bit bitter about this one because in my Super Brew, so I just had a feeling about Zebre that they were due, like, some of their performance earlier in the season have been brilliant at home. I thought, Glasgow haven't won away in so long. This is a chance for Zebre to actually get that first win of the season that the performances earlier on merited. And so I tipped them to win in my Super Brew, and they cost me a Grand Slam. Grand Slam is where you get all of the results right. And that was the one result I didn't get right on that one. So a little bit bitter about that, especially with the start that they made as well. So first of all, there's a nice crossfield kick from, I think it's Prisian, I can't even pronounce the guy's name. It's Prisiantelli, I think, or something, to Bruno to put him over in the corner. So they get off really well there. But then Manjesi, he gathers his own charge down to reply for Glasgow. It was one of those ones where just watching, you kind of knew he was going to charge the scrum half down because it was taking so long to do it. And like, as soon as he got the ball in his hand, Manjesi was there on top of him, and it was, you know, it was kind of telegraphed really to him. But then we have Stain, nice work for him. He puts Cancelleri over in the corner for Glasgow's second. Bruno then, after scoring the try for Zebre, kind of goes from hero to villain, where he spills a high ball and right into the arms of McDowell, and McDowell goes over for Glasgow, and Glasgow at that stage are starting to stretch away. Matthews goes over then from short range for the bonus point try, and kind of removes any lingering doubts that you might have had with about 10 minutes to go about who's going to win. There are a couple of tries then from each of the teams in that last 10 minutes, but it really doesn't affect the score. It obviously affects the score, it doesn't affect the outcome, of the game. Glasgow then, they end a run of 9 away losses in the URC, and Zebra's still looking for their first win of the season, and it's probably going to be a while before I tip them again in my Super Brew. So then next we have Connacht 38, Benetton 19. So second row, Niall Murray showed a great turn of pace. He was put through a hole from halfway. He beats the cover and gets to the line. And it was kind of reminiscent of Ryan Baird when he burst onto the scene for Leinster. Seeing such a big man be able to cover the ground so quickly, it really was kind of reminiscent of him. Benetton, though, they hit back through Watson. So they turn the ball over at a ruck out on the left wing. There isn't really much cover there for Connacht, so Watson just shows his blistering pace to go down the wing and score in the corner. Connacht, though, they go back on the attack. They shift the ball from a line out. Aki then puts Boyle through a gap to go over. It was a lovely line that Boyle came on actually for that as well. And Connacht starting to take control of the game at that stage. Beelum then, in the second half, he goes over from short range just at the first few minutes of the second half to really kind of stamp their authority on the game. But Benetton do hit back with Zanon. He gets some back for them, gives them a little bit of hope, but then the hope is completely extinguished where so Scrafton gets a red for a high shot, the kind of high shot that we've seen in a lot of games recently, and completely extinguishes any hope that Benetton had of getting back into this one. Blake goes over then for the bonus point try for Connacht. We then have Monticello. So he puts in a break, and it's a really nice break. He had a couple of nice breaks during the game, but this one he's able to just completely go through the Connacht defence from just around the inside, I think just outside or just inside the 22, kind of around that area. And kind of shows that he's one to watch in the future. He's a young player and he's got plenty of talent there. So, I'd say we'll be hearing his name a lot more in the future. Connacht, though, do add a fifth try from Martin. It's one of these ones. He's at the back of the maul and the drive over, he dots down. So Connacht's going to be happy with a win at home and a bonus point win for that as well. Benetton, decent performance up to the point of the red card. So, they can take some heart from that, but didn't take anything else out of the game, though. Then we have Bulls 45, Cardiff 9. So Cardiff on the back of getting that first win by a Welsh region down in South Africa, kind of crashed down to earth then in this one. So at the start, they're actually leading. They're 6-3 up. Obviously penalties for both teams there. But then Moody goes over for the Bulls for the first try of the game. But then Cardiff do manage to get another penalty. So just before half time, it's actually a 1 point game. And you're thinking, okay, well, Cardiff, they won the previous week and it's only 1 point. if they put in a second half performance now, they could actually turn this one around and get back-to-back wins in South Africa, which would be absolutely amazing, coming off, the fact that the Welsh team hadn't won there at all up to that point. But then Arendse, he goes over for the Bulls. The Bulls were kind of, they were playing with advantage. They were attacking under the posts. They spread the ball out then to the right wing, and Arendse is able to go in as Glasgow run out of defenders. And suddenly it's no longer a 1-point game at a half time. Goosen then, nice step for his try, and the Bulls start to stretch away in the second half. Northia then powers over for the bonus point try for them. And Arendse puts in like a gem of a kick for Moody's try. It's just beautifully weighted dink over the defence. So it's not kind of a crossfield kick. It's more like he's in the line and he's just to one side of the post, and he dinks it over so that it goes into it goes behind the posts and at an angle, and Moody's just able to get there first. And the way he weighted it meant that Moody had time to get there, that it wasn't going to run out of play too soon. Then Lowe powers over for the final try of the game for the Bulls. And yeah, as I said, this one was a real kind of welcome back to reality for Cardiff after the high that they must have been on after the previous week's performance. Really strong one from the Bulls there, and going into Europe, you've got to be excited about teams like the Bulls and the Stormers and the Sharks as well, going in against the best teams in Europe. We've seen what they can do last season, especially against the likes of Ulster and Leinster, and seeing them go up against the English and the French teams as well is just kind of mouth-watering. For Cardiff, they're still gonna feel that this was a good mini tour of South Africa for them, like getting that first win and it being like a bonus point win and to nil as well. I'm sure that they won't feel great after losing this one, but still there's a lot of positives to take from that. And they're going to carry that into their European games as well, that they can produce big performances, and that's what they're going to need to do, because they're probably not going to be among the favourites in Europe, so they're going to have to fight if they want to qualify, I feel. Next then we have the big game of the round, which was Leinster 38, Ulster 29. Top of the table clash, first versus second. There's a full report on this one on the channel, so we're not going to go into huge detail on this one here, so go and check that out if you want to see more detail on that. Big incident on 20 minutes. Healy gets a red card. Completely upright tackle head on head with force, no mitigation. Absolutely deserved red card. I'm a Leinster fan and I cannot argue with the referee's decision there at all. We've seen plenty of players get red cards for stuff like this, and I don't see that one being any different than the other ones that deserve it. Some people may argue that it's not a red card, but I feel like they're arguing it from a position of they don't agree with the law, rather than not agreeing with the referee's interpretation of that law. So yeah, I'd say fairly deserved red card for Healy there. Ulster then are completely ruthless in the follow-up to that. They score 3 tries, they pull away. It looks like they're going to destroy Leinster at that point. And just before half-time then, Leinster get a try through Kelleher, and that kind of signals like the start of their comeback, where they've got something to build on for that second half. Another big point then in the game is Cooney going off shortly after half time. So James Lowe's carrying the ball, clashes with Cooney, catches him with in the head with the forearm over his non-carrying arm. And, you know, I've seen before where players have been picked for that, but the referee decided he kept the arm close to his chest before the contact, and then after the contact the arm kind of came out. So but I could see where people would be looking for a card for him or a penalty for him for that. Cooney has to go off. He doesn't come back. He's a really important player for Ulster, and you know, I'm not sure that they would have been able to steady the ship in the face of Leinster's comeback if he stayed on, but still, you know, he's an important player for them. Ringrose, then, he gets 2 tries in 5 minutes. Some really great footwork from him in that. During that period as well, Ulster get themselves 2 yellow cards, and one of them is actually for a head-on-head clash with Ringrose while he's scoring I think it was the second try, right? Well, one of those 2 tries anyway. And, you know, some Leinster fans might say, oh, well, it's head on head. Why isn't that a red? And instead of a yellow, but Ringrose's step definitely, like, such a change in direction, like, was the mitigating factor really for that. And again, I agree with the referee's interpretation on that one. Porter scores the bonus point try then from close range for Leinster. So that's actually both, right? Yeah, Porter and Beelum, 2 front rowers scoring bonus point tries for their respective provinces this weekend. Last 5 minutes then, we have Lowe kind of wrapping up Leinster scoring for them and putting the result itself beyond doubt. But Carter does go over for a bonus point try with a couple of minutes left. Or was it? It was either a couple of minutes or we're kind of in the red. It was the last few minutes of the game anyway. He goes over for the bonus point try for Ulster, so they do get something out of the game. But, you know, after the red card and the way Ulster bossed the game up to almost half time, you probably expected them to get a lot more of that. Going to Europe, Leinster obviously going to be buoyed with that result. You'd expect Ulster then to also be looking to kind of respond to that and show people that they can deliver on the big stage as well. So expecting good performances from both of them really when they go into Europe this week. On to then the Sunday game. We have the Lions 32, Scarlets 15. So Lowe with amazing offload to Max Wayne. He then has a mazy run where nobody can put a hand on him and he goes over for the Lions. Lions then destroy the Scarlet scrum from 5 meters out. And what's his name? Chituka. He picks the ball up from the back and he goes over. Scarlets then have a driving maul from Davies, gets him back into the game with halftime approaching. We then have an amazing set play from the line out from the Lions to put Creel through a massive gap. It's one of these ones where they kind of have 2 pods and they purposely split the pods, which creates a gap in the middle, and the jumper, rather than catching the ball, just bats the ball down for Creel, who is able to gather and go through that massive hole. Really well done, and ensured that scrum coach is going to be, or the line-out coach, sorry, is going to be very happy with how that came out for them. Not so happy then with the next line-out, though, that we see, at least on the highlights, where they go from pretty much that excellence to complete calamity. Lions overthrow, and it's a 5 meter line out for them, close to their own line. Overthrow to a Scarlets player. Scarlets are able to put it through the hands, and Roger goes over in the corner. Lions then, they're towards the end of the game, they're playing with 14 men after a yellow card. But Chituka goes over for a second try. he did really well, like, to hold on to the ball. Like, the ball was kind of fired at him. I was kind of going across his body. He sticks out his right hand and kind of juggles with the ball a bit, but he's able to regather it. He goes over a gap and he scores. At that stage, then, Lions have the game won, but Scarlets do score a consolation try with a clock in the red from Lousy, which was kind of one of these ones where they're at the line. He eventually is the one to get over. So Lions definitely going to be happy with a home win there. So, like, up until, wasn't it last week, or was it? Yeah, like, basically Lions have been doing better away from home than at home, so it's nice for them to give the fans something to cheer about. Scarlets, their kind of poor season continues, and, you know, they're probably going to be happy, I would imagine, to be going into Europe and to be able to try and build momentum in a different competition and maybe come back to the URC closer to Christmas with maybe something to build on from there, because they've been pretty poor this year, and this is just another example of it. So that's the, you know, URC going on a break now. So my question to you is, well, a couple of questions. First of all, how do you think your team is doing so far in the URC? And how do you think your team is going to go now in this couple of rounds of European games as well?